What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll. We're going to be talking some travel with you guys today. Holidays coming up. A lot of people do travel. And Ian just got back from a pretty cool trip, so we'll talk about his adventures as well. But yeah, I'm Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 21 years ago. Bobby, you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll let our esteemed guest.
Yeah, Bobby Rohan, C5, C6 here in Huntington Beach for, um, I'm going on 36, or I am 36 years post injury. So, yeah, um, I know we're bringing up old age and threw me off there. Take it over to there, over you, Ian. See, now you got my brain all flustered. You made me think
36,
about stuff.
36 years, man. 36 years is on wheels is tough.
Uh,
I'm Ian Reuter. I'm a C5 quad. I've been injured 27 years, I think. I'm the editor in chief of New Mobility Magazine and Media, and just happy to be here with you guys today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us today, hanging out. I know we have had you on before and love having you come back every anytime, for everything. And
yeah.
um, so yeah, today it'd be fun to talk a little bit about travel. Um, you just took your first international trip. I did mine like 2 years ago. I took my first international trip to Switzerland. Um, so yeah, let's just get into some. We'll start with the far off travel like that, some cool stories, and then we can talk about more just local stuff, some tips and advice for people that might be traveling to family for holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, tell us about your trip,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, so this was like you said, 27 years in a chair, and I hadn't gone abroad. I'd gone abroad before I was paralyzed, but uh, I'd booked a big trip in 2020, and then COVID hit, and I had to cancel everything. And then the last few years, just how it is with health stuff and things not being quite right. It's like I don't know, man, if my body can handle this, and worried about all these logistics, and like, what am I going to do about this and this and finally got to a place where I felt comfortable with all that and decided to go all in. And I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. And it seemed like if you could do New Zealand, you can do anything because it's so far away.
Yeah.
And the flight is 13 and a half hours direct from San Francisco. Um, and that's longer than I'd ever been on a plane for a single time. Um, and I
It's
just did
probably
it,
longer
man.
than I'm in my chair throughout the day at a given time.
Yeah, it was pretty overwhelming. I spent about 3 months kind of doing the logistics and planning and thinking about it, and it all paid off. And I had an amazing 2 weeks down there. It was unbelievable country, beautiful, relatively accessible, and lots to talk about.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So I know like that was the most daunting thing I feel like that I was facing because I had the same 2 years ago. I flew to Switzerland for rugby, but we stayed like an extended trip so that we could actually like see some of the city because we flew into Zurich. But that was an 11 and a half hour flight plus time of boarding plus you have to wait to the end. You're waiting for that aisle chair at the end
Yep.
for the whole plane to
Yep.
deplane. Uh, so it ends up being like I think I ended up spending closer to the 13 and a half hours
Yeah.
on the plane sitting sitting on the plane. So you must have been
Yeah.
like
It was
15 hours.
15 and a half for me.
15. Yeah, see, that's what
Yeah, but also because part of that is you're in Oregon, so you got to fly over to the East Coast, right? And then
No, so I actually there's the nice thing about New Zealand, and part of the reason that I decided to do it is because there are direct flights from San Francisco and LA. San Francisco, it's a 13 and a half hour flight. LA, it's like 11 and a half or 12 to go, and it's a little bit shorter coming back. So I drove down to San Francisco and left my van there to spare that one flight and spent a night down there before the trip, and then did that flight and did all that.
okay,
that's a lot of travel. That's like 2 days then you because you had to do the drive everything.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
we calculated it out, but with the drive from San Francisco to LA and the drive back, and all the driving that we did in New Zealand, because I rented a Sprinter van down there, We drove 3,500 miles in about 17 days.
35. That's a
That's a
that's a road
lot of,
trip, all right.
yeah.
So
Man,
it's a
yeah,
lot.
that's cool. That is fun. That's a good one for to talk about too, because that's something I feel like is more manageable for sometimes for like someone in a chair like us, because you can take
Yeah.
your time. You maybe don't have to drive that many, like unless you really have like a set like date time thing you need to make it somewhere by. But I feel like just taking it leisurely, cruising, taking your time, seeing stuff, getting out, like that could be a really fun way for travel. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I love the road trips. Like that was that's been my modus operandi for the last 5 or 6 years. During the pandemic and post pandemic, I think I've been to every national park and every destination west of the Rockies because when you live out here on the West Coast, it's a long way to go places, and I've done it all now.
so for everybody that just joined us in the chat, we're talking about Ian's trip to New Zealand that he just took, and I think we can start like I guess let's start with the good. So let's start with the good because we already know what might be the bad stuff, and you see it every day on Instagram and crap like that. But tell us about the good. I mean,
I
about
mean,
the
I got
travel.
to be honest. Like, I've had my 27 years. I've had my share of bad. I've had chairs broken multiple times. I've dealt with people that don't know what they're doing. I've almost been dropped. I've been, treated like rudely. You name it. But I got to be honest. This trip was about as close to perfect as it could have been.
Okay,
I,
cool.
I credit a lot of planning, a lot of good luck. The only real bad thing I would say is that I think I broke my foot on the flight home.
oh,
Um, my feet spasm constantly, and on the flight down there, I was literally kicking the wall for 15 hours. And I just was like, on the flight home, I was like, I can't do that again. So I strapped it down with like a gait belt, and I think it just did something to it. So I'm waiting to get into a doctor to see about that, but it's all swollen and got some weird black and blue stuff. But that's really the only bad thing, man. Like everything else, I mean, my neck, I went through like a whole box of Advil because I was so sore. My neck was tired from all the driving and bouncing around on these roads, but everything else was great.
Yeah.
who did you travel with for the?
So I just travel with my one attendant. Like this guy's been with me for about 12 years. He's like
Okay.
one of my best friends, and he's a great guy. We get along really well, and it's just the two of us, man. He's a trooper and a warrior. And I made sure he was up for it all because it was an ambitious agenda, and yeah, you know, I paid for all his stuff, and he helped me out, and it's great.
Yeah. Ambitious in the day to day stuff that you guys were doing.
Yeah, so we could have just gone down there and hung out, and that would have been probably amazing because it's a beautiful country. And but I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna come back here, and I want to see it. And I'd heard a lot about all the different stuff. So New Zealand is two islands, north and south, and we rented a Sprinter van at Auckland, which is the tip of the North Island, and drove all the way south to Queenstown, which is in the west coast or the west coast of the Southern Island. And over those 2 weeks, we drove that whole way, stopping in, I think we stopped in 6 different hotels over the time, or motels, and did a bunch. I had a bunch of stuff planned. Like I went paragliding one day. We went up in a helicopter onto a glacier, and I got out on the glacier another day. I went off in a biplane and flew over the Alps and landed to go on the Sound one day on like this little cruise and saw dolphins and penguins and stuff. We went to a Hobbit place from Lord of the Rings. We went in this accessible cave that had like a 50-foot spiral ramp, like down into the
Wow.
cave with like glowworms in it. It was crazy, man. We did it all. But it was like every day we were going and going. Like there were only maybe 3 days where we just chilled out and like, had a day to hang out and eat food and like sleep and roll around.
That's
So
crazy, man. That's really incredible.
earlier this year, I went to Houston for a competition, and the way it worked out, I had to get a room one night, and it's in the same building. It was funny. These It was two hotels in the same building, but I could not stay on one side and then them just saying, "Oh, just stay there." No, they were two separate, and so I had to just move beds like to a different room. That was a pain in the ass. I can't imagine 14 days unpacking, packing, and let alone the other stuff, meaning your body
No,
to a new bed, your body to this. Every time you open that hotel door, going, what's the bed? What's the room? What,
totally.
it just, I'm going,
Yeah.
No, totally, man. I stressed about it. Like I said, I spent 3 months making these reservations and trying to find accessible places, and that's just one part of it. And then, like you said, the stress of actually moving and having to pick up every couple of days and do everything.
mm-hmm.
There's no way like one person could do it on their own, and I guess it's kind of the trade off of being a quad who requires someone to go with me. Like, I mean, if I'm gonna do that, like, and I have someone who's great, like the guy I have, you know, uh, then it's like, okay, well, he has a little bit more energy than I do, right? And he can help with this. And even for him, it was a lot. Like there were times, if I'm gonna be honest, I felt bad. I was like, fuck, I'm asking too much of this guy, but I think it all worked out. We had a great time. And if I did it again, it'd probably be a little bit more relaxed. I wouldn't go back there and do this again. I would, have like maybe a week in two different places or something.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what, because I feel like it's hard to keep getting settled. And like Bobby said, you don't know what the next hotel bed and bathroom and stuff is going to look like. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's incredible. If you were able to go ahead and like call these hotels and book these reservations and find accessible rooms beforehand, like that's, that, that's good job.
It was a lot.
It's better that you had an attendant with you because when you have your wife and I'm literally like on day 3 and I go, hey, can I get that shirt? And I get the biggest stare down going, you're going to get what the hell you're going to get because this is day 3 and I'm not going to look for your effing shirt.
Yep.
So it's a lot easier. I'm sure that helps because, it becomes stressful when you're with your spouse, let alone, um, and
Yeah.
dealing with was the like packing and unpacking and different. I'm just floored, but hey, good job,
Yeah, no,
congrats.
that is honestly like sounds really exhausting, but it sounds cool. That's a heck of an adventure. And you just
Yeah.
got
We
back
were.
last week then, or yeah, Rich was asking. He said a week.
Yeah, so we got back we flew back Tuesday. The weird thing about New Zealand is they're 3 hours behind us, but a day ahead of us, if you think of it. So it's like 4 o'clock here on the West Coast now, right? So it's like 1 o'clock there, but it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's already
So
it's
So
already the next day for them. Yeah,
19. Wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
so like we left New Zealand at like or the first town we were in at 6 in the morning, and we got home at 6:30 the same day.
yeah.
That's wild.
Like you didn't lose any time.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You got the day
I,
back.
I
Right.
watched the
You
entire.
lost.
I watched the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy on the flight home,
Oh my
all
gosh.
9.5 hours.
Yeah.
You didn't try to sleep for any of that.
Dude, I was so uncomfortable. My neck hurt so much,
Oh yeah, it's
and like
hard.
I was worried about I always worry about getting pressure sores,
Yeah, of course.
on
Yeah.
those long flights. So I'm trying to do pressure reliefs and like trying to be like, oh man, is this okay? Like, is my rojo okay? Like, am I okay? Like, I'm moving around.
Yeah.
I can't. I couldn't sleep if I wanted to.
Yeah. I'm right with you. I feel sorry for the person ahead of me and behind me because it's like, is this guy on crack? Because I'm like, whoa, oh,
Oh, I, I just know the
oh,
people. I know the people who are sitting behind me on the aisle are looking at me like, "What is wrong with that guy?"
yeah,
Yeah, no, that is one of the big pain in the asses. And you're a pretty tall dude too, right, Ian? I think you're.
Yeah, I'm like 6'2", so it's
Yeah, we're all
uh,
over the 6 foot, so that's a man on the plane is hard for sure. Even
yeah,
if you can't feel your legs, and they're in somebody's back or
yeah,
against a wall or whatever. Uh, but uh, but yeah, no, that's an incredible trip though. That's really cool you're able to do that. So overall though, you said it was a great trip. It was something that you're really glad that you ended up doing it. And
yeah, man. it's a hard thing about doing international travel when you haven't done it as a wheelchair user. Like, it's getting over that mental barrier, right? Because it's so easy to make an excuse and say, this I can't, this is too much, like this is too much, or I could find 40 different things, and I did, man, for a while there. There was a long time where I don't think I was ready for it. And then I was, and then I had it all planned and it fell apart. And then I had another, then it, couldn't do it for a while. So it felt really good to get out there and do it and show yourself that you can do it. Figure out the things that you weren't sure about. And I want to, hey man, I want to go. I don't want to go back another 14-hour flight, but I'm like, I want to go some other places now, and do some stuff. So maybe a little bit more mellow, but
yeah, it gave you that confidence to do that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. I'm really happy you were able to do that and everything worked out. And yeah, no issues with flights and hotels and all that stuff. That's an incredible
Yeah.
story. Uh, and Angry in the chat, somebody asked if you have a history of pressure sores. Angry Quad had asked.
Yeah, so I got a really bad pressure sore like a year after I was paralyzed. Ended up having to have a flap on my right ischial. It went all the way to the bone, and I got a flap done. And man, knock on wood, I haven't had a serious one since then. But I'd be lying if I don't think about it every day. Like I think around in my chair more than any quad I know, just because it's such like you like. I mean, it just becomes a habit, right? Like you just people ask me if there's something wrong. I'm like, no, man, it's ingrained in me to keep moving and stuff because if I don't, I'm scared. That scares me more than anything.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, no, I know. That's getting too stagnant, to spending too much time just in bed or doing, like it does. It is good to move, get outside, to do
Yeah.
any type of exercise, even if it is just rolling outside, getting some sunshine, doing, just.
Well, that was the other thing about this trip too. Is like it wasn't just the plane. It was I kind of put myself up to some new experiences where it freaked me out a little bit about the pressure stuff too. Like going in the helicopter and on this other plane, where you're doing these weird transfers onto seats that are not really made for, quad, and you don't have your normal protection. And like on the glacier, like dude, I should have sent you guys a picture beforehand, but we took this helicopter up on the glacier, and these dudes lifted me out into what I think was like a paragliding chair, and then I was just out there on the glacier for like 2.5 hours, sitting in this chair that I've never sat in with no cushion other than the padding that was on it, which there was some padding, and I'm like, oh my god, if I get a pressure sore from doing this, I'm going to kill myself. So it's just stressful.
Well, I mean, if you came back with a pressure sore, and long as you know how to manage it compared to your first year, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you were doing something you love. I mean, that is the risk, no matter what you say about traveling.
totally.
There's
Totally.
a risk. There's a risk if we're just sitting here doing this podcast today, and you get out of your chair and it's like, whoa, you got a big red spot. Yeah, there is a risk no matter what we do. You still have to live your life. We can't.
Yeah, you can't live in fear, but like the reality, these things are traumatic. Like
Yeah, no, yep, you're absolutely right, and I deal with it every day. My butt just cannot stay without a red, breaking out little things here and there constantly. And 36 years, I don't, and I'm due diligence about eating correct and my protein and exercise, but it just, who knows? It just, and it's constant fear, but I'm not going to let it stop me from, and I'm glad it's not going to let you stop from having fun. But yeah, you're right. It is, as a quad life, yeah, I'd be lying. I did a bicycle trip a couple months ago, and at night, getting out of my chair, laying down. All right, let's do the butt check. I'm just waiting to hear the worst. You're waiting, for the bad news.
Yeah,
You're waiting for.
I'm pretty sure my attendant was like so sick of me asking to check my skin every night on the trip because like at home I'm pretty lax about not lax, but like more lax about it. Like I asked my guy to check it in the morning when I'm getting up and stuff. But on the trip, every time we got in bed, I'm like, "How's my skin? how's my skin? How's this? Like
But yeah,
I don't
you
want
were
to let it
pushing
slip.
yourself, and you're sitting in different surfaces. You're doing a bunch of different things that are you're in the chair longer. Like that's I feel like that is the time when you want to be
Yeah.
diligent and check in. Yeah, but
Yeah, no, I get it. Sores are a major, being in bed for a straight year. Yeah, no, I get it, and it sucks that we have to live like that. But then it's reality. But you would have to think though, New Zealand has to be, and if you did all the, by doing the things that you did, you'd have to come back going, hey, I went out there and I conquered, and yeah, something happened. Like even you might even have a little bit of a broken foot where you're not sure until you
No,
get some X-ray.
it is what
But
it is. I'll deal. 20 after some period of the time in this chair, you learn. You're just going to deal with what comes at you, and pretty much anything we can figure out and handle. Somebody else has done it before, right? Like,
mhm, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And one quick question: it was, and I'm pretty sure you said yes. The direct flight to New Zealand was straight from San Francisco.
yep,
it's and how
yep.
long was it? I think you said it
That
was.
because it's an international airport.
Yeah. So the flight from San Francisco there, since you're going like slightly slightly west, it's about 13 and a half hours. Coming back, it was about 11 and a half hours.
So basically, you just saved the flight from Portland to
That
LA.
was I skipped that which is it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour flight from down there, and I have a lot of friends in San Francisco, so I just drove down a day early, spent a night in the hotel, and dropped it off.
Yeah, I went. Yeah, you're saying just the little things. Sometimes it can be big thing, like Leon said, being in bed for a year after having a pressure thing. Um, but can't live ourselves in a bubble all the time.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it was
you just
great,
gotta.
man.
So tell us about the planning. Like the difficulty of planning. Because yeah, you want to call a hotel. We often give that advice here, and say see make ask them to go see look at the room and measure the from the floor to the bed. We often say that to people. We often say make sure this A, B, and C, and 3 months of planning and things turned out the way you were hoping. Tell us
Yeah,
about the planning and how difficult was it to get like some answers that sometimes are hard to get.
yeah, man, it was tricky. I kind of prioritized a couple things and played down from there. My first priority for knowing what the trip I wanted to do was transportation, because New Zealand is not a big place, and I wanted a van that I would be able to see out of and ride in the front, because I knew we were going to be doing a lot of driving. And they don't have, as far as I can tell, they don't have side entry vans down there.
Hmm.
I can't car transfer very easily, so I needed a van. That was the first thing, and I want to take my power chair and my manual chair. That was my plan, which I did. Um, and so I ended up getting a Sprinter van from. There were two companies down there that did mobility rentals. I rented a big, like full size Sprinter van for the 2 weeks, which was ended up being great. It was had a lot of space for all my bags and stuff, and we were moving around, which was nice. And I was able to sit in the front and see, and I'm so glad I was, because the country is stunning. So that was
Yeah.
the first thing I planned. Second thing was the hotels, because there were a couple of places that we had to go through where there literally was a limited supply of accessible rooms. Like two of the towns we were in, uh, I think I got one of the last rooms that would have had, like a roll-in shower and been able to accommodate the chair, because they're just small. New Zealand's not like here, like there's some big cities, but once you're out of the big cities, there's not just towns and little motels everywhere. There are times where you'll drive 100 miles and there won't be a town, right? So, you got to find accommodations that I knew I'd be comfortable with and I could get what I needed. So that was tough because it's also international. and they don't have the ADA down there, so it's not the same guarantees. They have different terminologies, and you can't just call because it's international rates, right? And you can, but it's expensive as hell to call, to make all these reservations.
Yeah.
So that was tricky and expensive. So then I booked all those hotel rooms, and then it was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I had a bunch of things I wanted to do, but trying to book all these like adventures and like experiences and get them in windows where I thought I'd be able to make it to that place and do it. You know, that took a bunch of time. Luckily, I found a great guy down there. If anyone's interested in going to New Zealand for some reason, there's a quad who lives down there named Jezza, who everybody in New Zealand knows. Most wheelchair users I know him now. Seems like if they've been to New Zealand, and he runs this organization called Making Tracks. It's like a nonprofit that helps people plan and accessible adventures and stuff. And he was awesome and helped me book a bunch of things, saved me a ton of money on calling and making reservations, and came up with some really cool stuff. Like I did the paragliding, the helicopter, and the plane thing. Those were all through his help. So.
And that's just for New Zealand, that his nonprofit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of cut out for a second there.
Sorry.
One question. What was the cost, do you think, for something?
Yeah, so this was there's no way around it. It was expensive, man. This was my savings. Like I haven't done any big trips. First time I've taken 2 weeks off in 15 years of working at the job I'm in, and I haven't added everything up now, but I think outside of airfare, probably about $10,000.
Yeah. I was actually thinking, I was trying to kind of get do it in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like it was probably around that, but
No, this morning I just booked a trip to Vegas, same day there and back, just to go see a football game for 3 people, and out the door, I'm already $2,000. We haven't even gotten there for taxi and food. So I can only, and that's just called one day.
I started off and I knew it was going to be expensive, and I said, look, you're only doing this once. I still, at the beginning, I was trying to be cost conscious a little bit, and about midway through, I was like, you know what? Unless we're talking hundreds of dollars here, I got to do this. I'm just going to do what makes sense and do it. Not that I'm going to be throwing money away because I'm not that guy, but like I definitely splurged a little bit more than I normally would on some things, and I'm really glad I did, man. Like I will say also the exchange rate is good right now, and so when I've been going through the bills, I feel a little bit better about it. I'm like, oh, that's not as much as I thought it was. So that's been a little bit of a nice surprise, but it sucks, man, especially when you're a single guy like myself and you have to have an attendant. That doubles your cost basically.
And
it adds a lot of that stuff. So it's very hard to do things in an affordable way. That's why I like going back to the road trip earlier. That's why I like road tripping, because it is a lot cheaper. You can control a lot of that stuff, but
yeah, man, that is like, it's all about if it's worth, that experience and everything is worth it to you, then do it how you want to do it. Like, I feel like that's,
I don't regret it at all, man. Like it's money that, it was sitting there that I've saved up, and these are memories that I'll have with me forever.
Oh yeah.
Rich also asked about putting that guy's info in the chat. So maybe I can have you just text that to me and I can put it in the description. So after the video, it'll be in there. Like people can check it out and email or check the website out or whatever.
Yeah, sure. And if you just search for Rich, if you search for Making Tracks, TRAX, and New Zealand, it'll pop up. But I'll definitely get it to you.
Okay, yeah, cool. Now I can put it in there, but I'll put just Making Tracks in the chat at least so people see it. But
yeah. And then the one other thing, I'm going back to Bobby on your question about the planning, because I thought this was the best tip that I got that it came out of the blue and really impacted the trip. As a guy who uses a power chair, I think it'll be applicable for a manual chair user too, maybe. One of my friends said, before you go, take the lockdown pin out of your chair. Like if you, I don't know if you guys have like a lockdown in your car or your van, but like if you have it, any sort of lockdown system, they have these pins they put in
Hmm.
so that you can drive safely without having to strap down all the time when you get in your van.
Oh,
Very specific.
for like the easy lock.
Yeah,
Yep, for like easy lock or one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they're great. You know, it makes it way easier if you're a quad who has a power chair for getting in and out of your car, but it also cuts down your clearance because you get scrape on
Mm,
everything and you have to be really careful with stuff. So I'd never done that on a trip. I took it out for this trip and it was an absolute game changer for me
okay.
because it just restored the full independence of the power chair, enough to worry about it. And yeah, I was really appreciative for that tip. So for anybody, any power chair users who are traveling and considering that, I highly recommend doing that. It's not hard to do. And
And you brought up something. You brought both your manual chair and power chair.
yeah,
Explain a little bit. Like I
yeah.
can't even
So
imagine. I have a hard enough time just one device, and that's just called me. And now you got to worry about your suitcase and your now, and probably you brought your commode chair, a travel
yeah.
commode chair of some sort.
I've got a portable travel chair that folds up into a little briefcase. It's not that
Yeah.
bad. Um, but the reason I did it, I've never done this on a trip before. There were three of these things that required a manual chair. One was the glowworm cave. They said you had to have a certain clearance and a certain size to get in because, and I didn't really know why, but when I went in there, I saw why. Like the paths are just narrow, and there's some areas where stalactites are coming down, and if you're too wide at a certain point, you just literally cannot go through. Um, and so I wanted to be able to do that. I didn't want to use their hospital chair that they had there for a 2 hour trip down a windy, spirally thing. Um, and then the airplane flight over the Alps to the Milford Sound, which everyone told me was the most remarkably beautiful part of all of New Zealand. Um, there was an option there when you get off to go on this cruise, but you need a wheelchair, and they can't take a power chair on the flight. Um, Obviously, because they're little tiny prop planes. Basically, you're flying like 12 seaters or something. So between those um, and also the helicopter thing, I wanted to have an option so I could do these things and get around. And I needed the manual chair, so I brought you know a tiny little manual chair that one of my friends loaned me that has a really good seating, and it worked out.
Yeah, no, that's a really smart idea, man. That just shows the how much planning and like you put into it, really figuring all that stuff out. With you knew the adventures you wanted to do, so and you knew what you needed to like have to comfortably do those things, and which is yeah, that's awesome, man. Really, really impressive.
There there was a an awesome and some we don't think about, and this has nothing to do with a disabled question because this has to do with knowing your medical coverage when going to another area, and this especially in our case, with maybe winding up with a bad UTI down to something of maybe breaking your foot on the way out there, and you're like, I'm in distro so bad, I got to go and get care in New Zealand. So, how does your medical coverage, in case you need medical attention in another country? Did you do that research, and what did you find out?
I did, and everyone told me who recommended getting trip insurance for that very reason.
Hmm.
I'll be 100% honest. I fully intended to, and then I did not do it just because I've been so busy planning and coordinating other things, and it was sort of the last thing on my list. But everyone said that that was a smart thing to do, and I think it really is to cover those unexpected things and to help with logistics and fill in holes in your insurance if you're abroad. I did look at the cost, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Um,
Do you know how roughly it was?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember.
Okay,
Yeah,
over a
Um,
thousand or under a thousand? Do you know?
It was
About
under a
there.
thousand. It
Okay,
was
good.
under 1,000.
Yeah. And
So
for
Yeah.
2 weeks, and I'm sure it's rated on how long you're there, probably.
yeah, yeah. And the part of the problem was I looked at the beginning of the planning, and then I reinitiated the conversation later on, and that complicated things. I think it's one of those things that you should talk with someone about at the very early stage of when your planning is, so that you get it locked in with all the stuff you're doing,
Okay.
because there, as you add new elements, it complicates things. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So for next time.
Yeah. No, that's good. I honestly, that was something I didn't even think about when I took my trip to Switzerland, which was a 7 day trip. It wasn't quite as long, but still. And for the 4 days of it, the where we played rugby was like an actual like huge like actual rehab and hospital and like facility.
That's
Like it
all
was
my international trips.
like
I've been. I didn't even go outside the cities. I'm just like when people ask me about places, I'm like, yeah, I know the airport and I know the gym and I know the hotel and like driving back and forth from the hotel to the gym. A lot of times it's like there's not much out here, or wow, there's a McDonald's and something else, that you recognize that like, oh, I guess it's just like here.
Yeah. Fun fact: they have McDonald's down there, but no one calls it McDonald's. It's Macca's. They
Mac.
say
Macca's.
they say get your Macca's hunger filled, and all that everywhere you go, Macca's, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Uh, I guess everywhere probably has their own Mickey D's, whatever slang the term that
Yep.
they call McDonald's with
Yeah.
Macca's. No, that's cool. Yeah, I noticed they had those in Switzerland as well. So
Yeah.
but I don't remember people calling them anything weird.
Yeah.
Uh,
I ran into a few wheelchair users down there, which I thought was cool.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
I talked to a couple of them and saw some others just rolling by, but it was nice to be, see our brothers and sisters out there around the world, and that they're, the cities are accessible enough for them to, feel comfortable rolling around. It was good.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That I wasn't sure about that, like what the disability population is like in some places like that. But that's
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I saw a number of wheelchair users in Christchurch, which is where we spent a little bit longer. It's on a southern island, and I really liked it there. It was cool. The sad part is, like, they had a huge earthquake. I don't know if you remember, like 15 years ago there. I didn't remember this, so don't feel bad if you didn't remember. But
Yeah.
they had a huge earthquake right under the city, basically right off the coast, and it just leveled, I guess, the downtown. And when I say level, like not, I lived in San Francisco when that earthquake happened in '89, and we're talking a whole other level of devastation. And I guess they're just, from talking to people there, they're just now kind of getting back going. But the upside of that is they've rebuilt this whole very flat, beautiful area along the river, and it's super accessible. Everything is flat and lovely, and it's parks and restaurants, and just really easy to roll around. Like I rolled everywhere from our hotel for the 3 days we were there. Had great food and fun places, and felt like a very wheelchair friendly city.
no, that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, because that was one of the questions Leon in the chat had earlier, just how the accessibility overall was.
Yeah.
Uh, I know you mentioned earlier it was pretty accessible for you, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we stayed in three of the biggest cities: Auckland, Christchurch, and Queenstown. And I would say all of those were the parts that we saw were pretty accessible. Queenstown is spectacularly beautiful. That's like the big tourist town. It's also, there's a lot of big hills there, and there were definitely a couple of hills where I was like, we should not go down that. Like this tower chair is not going down that hill. But they've got sidewalks and they got curb cuts. They've got some semblance of accessibility. Really nice the nicest public bathrooms everywhere we went. Every city had unbelievable public bathrooms with wheelchair rooms and like tons of space. So that was awesome.
They know how to clean up their shit.
They, they they did a
Yeah.
good job, man.
No, that's they're at least we got some decent humans know how to use a bathroom or a restroom.
Yeah,
Um,
it was nice.
I just want Ingrid Quad. I know we answered this a little bit earlier about where's Tom. Tom is doing great. I talk to him all the time. He's working on himself. He just celebrated a birthday last month. Got to see his mom and dad, and so he's doing good. So he's taking time to heal and for some things that he's been going through, and he went through a lot with stuff, and he's doing great. So thanks for asking. Um, to shift gears, you are the face of Nobility, New Mobility magazine right now. Um, for what I when I do get on Instagram, which is not that often, but I feel like probably because it's in my algorithm, uh, is people showing their travel, the plane or a bed, and sometimes it's positive, and a lot of times it's negative about, especially the height of beds these days. I don't
Yeah,
care
it's
who you're talking to, it's not going to be right. I mean, yeah, I
I
went
know.
into a hotel room not too long ago, and the bed was now down. I was like, great. I got in the bed, and then it was like, oh wait, now I got to get back in my chair. This is too low now. The bed. So we all live in a different size chair.
I
So that
I
we're
saw
not
the
going to.
I saw, just not to interrupt. I want you finish, but real quick, I saw a thing about this uh, accessible safari in Africa, and they had the bed solution for whatever, like $30,000 a night, I'm sure. But their bed was built into the wall and it adjusted up on the wall like this.
I
There you
no,
go. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, I
so
like it.
yeah, that's really cool. That's what I was gonna mention too, because that facility, the place we played rugby at in Switzerland, which is like their international Paralympic training facility. So they had like accessible dorms and all kinds of stuff. But they were like dual beds in each one, and every bed was height adjustable. They all had a little side remote, and they just had the little legs were height adjustable. So because it was like, oh, a wheelchair, like whatever, and
Mhm.
I forget the range it went, but it was a pretty good range. It had like a solid foot or more of range that it moved. So that like, and I was taking advantage of it. I was putting it lower than my chair to transfer in, then going up above my chair to transfer out. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
why
like
would I
our
have to
band
transfer
scene.
harder than me? Yeah, like I was like, this is actually pretty cool. So that's the first and only time I've seen that. But and that again, that wasn't like a hotel. That was something the Swiss government like provides or whatever.
First and
But it
last
was
time you.
incredible. Like, I mean, it was really cool. Those rooms were incredible. They had accessible balconies, huge accessible bathrooms, and it was nice. But yeah,
But I think, talking about not only hotels, but flights and stuff, and the new um, panic about, are they going to take care of our chair, or are they not going to take care of our chair? You see it. And many articles are posted
Yep.
in New Mobility Magazine. Give us your take. I mean, of all this stuff you see, give me your take about travel.
I
Where
mean,
is it today? And I mean, are we safe to travel in a sense that 90% of the time they're not going to damage our stuff, or where are we?
it's like you said. I think you can't live in fear. We're not somewhere where I think it's bad enough to justify staying at home and being like, I can't do any of this. It's not that bad. Is it maybe a little worse than it was a few years ago? I think that's probably fair. I think you know sadly, I don't know if we're heading in the right direction on a lot of that stuff right now. As far as air travel, there was some progress the last couple of years, and then I think from what I've seen and heard, things have gotten a lot rougher in the last 6 to 8 months, and I've
Yeah.
heard more growing horror stories. Um, but you know, what are you gonna do, man? Like,
Mhm.
you got to live your life, like, and you got to. I'm all you got to just you got to be careful. You got to plan. You got to be thoughtful, and you got to be assertive. When you travel, like, I'll tell you, the people that help out at the airport, sometimes they're great, and it makes all the difference. And we had a woman who helped me on this trip. She just wouldn't listen, and if I hadn't been assertive and my caregiver hadn't been assertive, she would have dropped me. Like, she 100% would have dropped me. She's like, "Oh, I'll get it.
Mhm.
I'll get it." and she could barely lift my legs, just to the aisle chair. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you're not careful, that stuff will bite you. But there are ways to, be more careful and mitigate the damage, I think. And um, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. No, and I'm going to say this. I mean, I think, and this happens to be in our algorithm. With people posting about, parking. Hey, come on, don't park over the line. This damaged my chair. This happens to everybody. And I think you said something where, it looked like it was going to be great. And the last 6 to 8 months, it's taken a turn, but I think it took a turn for everybody. I don't care if you're a
Yeah.
charity
Totally.
or not. I think it's just taken, and parking, people parking too
No.
close and somebody opens up their door into another car. And it has nothing to do with the disabled, just people are different now.
No.
We see
You're totally right.
what we've seen, and sometimes I just want to shout out to, and not to my Live to Roll audience because you guys are so cool, but to other people that are posting every day. It's like, dude, this is everyday problems. It's not going away.
I think you're exactly right, and I think it's a disabled multiplier is what it is. It's like everything else, and I see this as a writer all the time, and I laugh. Almost every story that we write in New Mobility starts off with doing this is so and so is hard, but when you have a disability, it's even harder, right? Like, and that's
Right.
true. It's true for almost everything we deal with. Taking care of yourself is hard, but when you have a disability, it's harder. Traveling is hard. When you have a disability, it's harder.
Yeah.
It's totally true. It's cliche as it may sound. It's not bullshit. And the flip side of that is that because it's harder, you have to work harder to deal with it, but it's still doable the same way it is if you're not disabled, right?
Well,
Like
yeah, exactly.
everyone's dealing with stuff. We just have to deal with a little bit more, and we always do. And you got to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you. That's the exact answer. I guess I was hoping, and I know um, you're part of that scene, and I just wanted your a little bit of your opinion and some thoughts. I guess maybe as somebody as looking at it every so often, I'm just like, guys, come on. And maybe it's my age, and not to
I
say
think
old man of 36 years. It's like, really? I've been dealing with this for 36 years. Come on, get over it. I mean, I know it's going to happen. I know we now have a platform to nag about this problem, but it ain't going to go away because it was there 36 years ago, and it's not any
yeah.
better.
Well, I think that's exactly what it is. Social media has become a platform to complain about stuff, and the people who are out there doing it and figuring it out realize, like you're talking about, like you and me and Shawn,
Mm-hmm.
like we have enough stuff to deal with. We don't need to get embroiled in online conversations about this stuff. Like if you've got something positive to share that's going to help other people,
Yeah, and
great. Take the
and
time
what?
and do it. But
Yeah,
complaining
there's
about it
and
isn't going to make a difference on the people on Facebook.
yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of good that people do as well. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, people that show, hey, here's my travel, and I like those. This is what I did. This is it. And this is how the process goes. Okay, great. That's what I was, and just what Shawn used to do when he used to do all those videos. This is how I transfer. Take it or leave it. I'll show you my technique. I'm sure you're going to learn it different. And I like that. And just even the other day, my buddy Mark, I love to, abilities. Check him out on his Instagram, because here he is just showing, hey, this is my tie. This is how I did my tie. I want to do it
yeah.
myself, and that's just, it's good. But I also feel like sometimes I guess, I don't know, for us being disabled, I guess frozen.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Sorry,
what
I think
happened
I
right there.
lost my internet for a second there.
Yeah.
I think we all did.
Yeah. It must have been my computer. But sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, you guys are staring at me pretty hard. Oh wait, I'm staring at myself. So maybe it's going live that we're moving around, but um, I guess because
It just dumped them again. I don't know if I'm live right now or not, but I guess we're having a few technical difficulties here at the end of the show. It does look like we're still live, but I'm not sure why their connections are dropping. Oh, there's Ian back. So, I mean, sorry, yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. If my internet says it's fine. It says I have excellent connection. Um, and that's never happened.
I'm gonna go on one of Bobby's forums and complain.
I know. That's a the internet didn't like you bitching about bitching. All
Yeah,
right.
I was just saying, Bobby, I'm gonna go on your forum and complain.
Me causing troubles. That's, you know.
Yeah, so it must be my computer because I was the only. It just dropped you guys off, and I'm not sure what happened, but
Okay.
I feel like we talked all about my travels. We didn't even talk about you guys' travels. Are you going anywhere? Have you gone anywhere recently?
My last trip really for me was that Switzerland trip. We've more been just focusing on now family and just kind of doing stuff here because I did get married shortly after that, a couple months after that. So now I've just been more focused on stuff like that. But we've done so for our travel, we just love going to Joshua Tree, and that's what if you've watched, I've done a bunch of these shows from Joshua Tree. We go to this Airbnb. We just found a nice accessible one we kind of like for works for our accessibility. You know, it's a nice flat area. I got the free wheel and it's quiet. We just like to go out there and push and but it's nice because for one, like you went to I don't know how many different hotels in that 2 weeks, like 6 different hotels. So like we've been to the same place multiple times. So it's like I know the accessibility. I know how
I
to get
love
in
that.
and out of everywhere. I know how to do everything. So like I feel very comfortable. And that's one thing that's helped me for sure because that is the unknown of that is like so hard. I feel like when you show up and you go in the hotel room, you're like, all right, let's see what we're but
Yeah. And I mean, I'm in Shawn's boat. I mean, it's been a while since I've done all that in the rugby days. Um, and there was a time, not just before COVID, we were flying back east all the time to either North or South Carolina for Clemson football or heading out to the beach with some friends um, and did all those, New Orleans, crossed to New York, to everywhere, and then rugby travels. I felt like I've done it. We do have hopes of one day getting out to Maine, but it's just my wife is also 15 years older than me. Then we're getting into like, I want to bring my wife, but I also probably should bring an aide. So it's not all on her. Um, and then that's cost. So we've been taking a little bit more of those, easier trips like Shawn, like going down to San Diego, and that's our kind of, for husband and wife. But I did just today, booked a flight to Vegas so I can go see a Bronco game at
There you
at
go.
that stadium, and I mean, but it's a day trip, and there are going to be some logistics. First she's like, "How are we going to get to the stadium?" What, a little bit of things. There are some planning and making sure you get the right seating and the right flight, and things like that. Getting
Yeah.
to the airport, there's always the logistics of anything you do, um, so I haven't been traveling as much. And lately, I retired early, and I knew when I retired, it was going to take a lot of savings to do something. Maybe not on your scale, but a scale of cross, to Maine,
Yeah.
like and Philly. We really, both of us, really want to go to Philadelphia and stuff. So I only want to go there for a good cheesesteak, and that's it. So that's about it. And she wants to
Yeah.
go see it for everything else. Or I want to go lick the Liberty Bell. Only because I heard about it on How I Met Your Mother. Like, hey, we licked the Liberty Bell. So,
I don't think
yeah,
you should do that. I would not suggest that. I'd
no,
have
Girls.
mouthwash in your pocket if you're doing
it's a
it.
joke that we have to, and my wife and I are like,
uh,
we're going there for cheesesteak and licking the Liberty Bell.
the
She's like, you're
the
nuts.
one I will give one possible suggestion for things for people that are trying to maybe they have somebody to travel with, but they don't want them to do all the work, or like their bowel care or something, or like give them certain times off. What I used to do for a lot of years with rugby is I would go originally using Craigslist, but then using care.com. I would go onto the local city I was traveling to, place an ad that I needed a caregiver for the specific times, days I needed them, would be able to call, talk to them, kind of like interview over the phone, and like try to have care set up for certain periods of time. Which, like going to New Zealand, that's probably a lot harder. Like international travel is a lot more difficult, I would assume, to do something like that because I never had done that. Um, but yeah, that's one thing. Like for Bobby going to Maine, maybe Ellen's there with you the whole time. If you guys go for a week, maybe you can hire somebody for like 2 days to help you with your like whatever. So
Oh yeah,
for a
and
break
that's
in the
how I used to
middle,
do.
so you don't have to like bring somebody, travel, pay for their entire trip, pay for them to be there the whole time. Maybe you can just find somebody local that will wants to work for a couple days.
Yeah, no, I get. Yeah, and that's the way I used to. I mean, I traveled to many, many cities: New Orleans, Atlanta, New York, Carolinas, Florida, all by myself by doing that. And even before the internet, I was calling like all these agencies. I'd go to the library and look up nursing agencies in their phone book, and just start cold calling and going, "Hey, I'm this guy coming to your city. Do you have anybody, or do you do this?" And then
I
eventually,
think
like, no, no, and then yes. I mean, so that's what I used to do. Go ahead, Ian.
I would say my limited experience with that is that it's gotten harder the last 5 years.
Probably it's
Um,
been a while
the
since.
things have
Yeah.
changed with the
Yeah.
Craigslist and a lot of those things. My one recommendation on that might want to add OnlyFans there.
I don't. I don't think you can afford that.
Yeah, that's a little out of our budget.
Your,
And
your
my
wife,
wife,
your wife might not go along with that
yeah,
one,
she's
but
like, "Where did you find this person?"
Just get a big dude, and then she might not. You're only you'll
there you
get.
go.
They,
And
See,
why does she want you to smell her feet?
uh,
I don't know, honey.
you guys.
trust me, she was
Uh,
highly recommended.
Yeah, she had 5 stars.
uh,
Oh,
uh,
jeez. Yeah, there might, and I haven't done that in a while. So,
yeah, no, it's
um,
been a few years since I've even had to do that. It's been well, I think I did it in 2023 a couple times, um, but I can say like I did a rugby tournament in Virginia in 2023, a little bit before that the Switzerland trip, and that was a little bit of a nightmare on care stuff. The lady just it it was hard. So that was the last time I think I have actually done it, and it really didn't go well. So
yeah,
um,
it's not a great. I mean, yeah, I've had one too like that. It was in Atlanta, or no, Birmingham, Alabama. There you go. Trying out for the U.S. team did not go well.
uh,
But
all right, we are getting to the hour here now. I'm gonna go ahead and thank our sponsors real quick because I didn't do that in the beginning, and then Ian, I'll give you kind of a couple minutes to I don't know, leave us with whatever you. It doesn't
Sure.
have to be travel advice. Anything you want to kind of share,
thoughts of
shout out.
wisdom.
Yeah. So real quick, go ahead and thank our sponsors, Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a local DME here to Southern California. So if you're anywhere in the Southern California area, San Diego to Central California, you need a new wheelchair or commode or standing frame or anything like that, give them a call. They'll get you set up. They'll come to you, get you measured up, get it all worked out. And then Urology Professionals is their sister company, and they're nationwide. So anywhere in the country that you need your catheter supplies, they can ship them directly to your doorstep. And they'll also help you navigate everything with insurance, figure out getting everything switched over and set up, and take a lot of the hassle out of it for you. So we appreciate our sponsors, and they do a lot to also sponsor the local community out here, and we do really appreciate them and everybody watching. So thank you guys all for supporting, watching, chatting. And then this Thursday, we have a little bit of a combo. Bobby will be back on. We're doing a rolling over the hill, but with Julianne joining instead of Robert. So we're doing just a little bit of
Yeah,
a
we might have a
hybrid,
couple of the other
hybrid
gals.
aging with a disability
Yeah,
show on Thursday. So tune in Thursday at 3:30. Should be a great show. Be fun. Um, And yeah, I think that's about it for what we got. Oh, and we will have one next week. Thursday's Thanksgiving, so we will not be having a show, but we will have one more show on Tuesday next week. Probably just a hangout, open discussion type of show. So pop in next Tuesday 3:30 and hang out with us there too. All right, I think that's it for that stuff. So yeah, Ian, man, thanks again for joining us and
Oh, it's always
sharing.
a pleasure. It's fun to chat with you guys. I miss Tom, but it's great to hang out with you. And
Hmm.
you know, just as far as other things going on, definitely I encourage people if you haven't checked out New Mobility, please check us out at
Yeah,
newmobility.com. Everything's free. We've been doing this for 36 years now, and we're going to be launching like our first ever kind of fundraising campaign next week on Giving Tuesday. So keep an eye
Cool.
out for that. And if you're a fan and kick in a little bit of money, I hate to ask people for money, but I really do this because I believe in it and I care about it. And times are tough right now. We're pulling it together because we care, but it's tough and always use everyone's support. So give it an eye. Even if you can't, just give us support by some love online. Hit like and subscribe and check out the content. And hopefully get a chance to come back here with you guys, talk some more in the future, and get you in some more new mobility stories. And just appreciate it.
Now, definitely sending love and some funds that way because I fully believe in it. Think 36 years. I think I been there, done that, and learned. And I learned from so many of those great articles that people put out, and so many of the things like, aha, you know, and when you get set in your ways, you kind of understand, hey, it's changing. Things are changing. We talked about it a little bit here, and so that's what's so great about the magazine to change
And
with the
lots of
time.
lots of good change too. We talked about some of the bad things, but lots of good change too, man. Lots of
Yeah.
exciting stuff to keep an eye on.
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
there is lots of positive and yeah, we definitely love to support New Ability. We subscribe to it. We actually got the subscription like two issues before it went to or not two issues. We got a
I
few issues.
know.
We
Well,
got a couple
so
issues.
that's so the campaign that we're launching is to raise money so that we can bring it back to regularly print
The
and
print.
probably
Okay.
quarterly instead of monthly. But we
Okay.
really want to get print issues back because we've heard from so many people that they cared about that and it's just not the same. And I 100% agree. I think it's a valuable tool in rehab facilities and kind of be able to share with somebody in a different way than online. And so we're on the same page and we're hoping that we can make this all happen.
Well, we'll do
Have you?
everything we can to promote, and I'm pretty sure I have. I'll have to double check unless I didn't copy the right link, but I do have a new mobility link in our just description. I think all the time I added that like I don't remember last year, sometime this
It's
year.
been there a while, but I looked at something and I didn't see it the other day. So check
But
again.
I'll have to recheck because sometimes I accidentally copy from the wrong one, and then like I'll miss it, and yeah. So I'll make sure I get that updated to make sure that it's always in there for people to check out.
Yeah, and I'll send you a link for Jezza down at Making Tracks and along with some of the new mobility stuff. So
Perfect. Yeah, I'll add those into this one as well. So awesome, man. Thanks again, Ian, for coming on
yeah,
and
dude,
hanging out with us. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, watching, joining the discussion. That always makes it a better talk, getting in everybody involved. So we
for
appreciate you
sure.
guys. And yeah, see you guys again on Thursday. Bobby will be back with the guys and Julianne. And yeah, everybody have a great rest of the week. Live to roll, everyone.
Stay on, Ian. I got a question for you.
Uh,